everybody. Welcome to another episode of Superhero Mom. Just trying to get myself here all sorted. Okay, so I hope everybody's been doing well. I hope you guys have been, eating healthy, training, taking care of yourself, making yourself a priority again, and so forth. Everything that we discuss here every single day in order for you to improve your life and the quality of your life eventually. Okay, so today I have a sort of atypical topic for you, atypical from a perspective, from the point of view of like fitness and nutrition and trying to change your life. As you guys know, my approach to losing weight and to improving your body, your mind, your spirit is a little bit different. By that I mean completely freaking different than what you find out there. Why do I dare saying that? Just like you know, I thought that training and I thought that nutrition is the key to a happy life, and I thought it's the key to getting the perfect body, and I just couldn't understand why I kept on failing, like diet after diet after diet. I kept on failing, and why every time I'll try to train, I'll do it for like a day or two or three, and then absolutely and literally give up. And it just, my brain couldn't understand like what's missing from this equation. I mean, you see everybody out there and they're training just fine, and they're just like eating the right foods and they look amazing and they're so self-confident and they believe in themselves and they made like major changes to their life. So I kept on wondering like, what's the problem? Why can't I freaking do that? So finally, after 22 years of actually I was 22 years old, after 13 years of failure, I started my diet, my first diet, when I was 9 years old, for those of you who don't know that. So at 22 years old, after 13 years of trying, I managed to find my path. And what I actually discovered when I found my path is that, surprisingly, losing weight has nothing to do with nutrition, it has nothing to do with training. It has to do with training, it has to do with nutrition, don't get me wrong. What I mean is that it's not the first aspect that you should be looking into when you are trying to regain control over your life. Yes, that's what I mean. I don't want to create any sort of confusion and make you guys believe that if you eat McDonald's or KFC or Domino's or any sort of junk food in huge quantities, you're going to look amazing or feel amazing or be at your healthiest, because that would be a lie. So yes, you do need to eat right. Yes, you do need to train. Yes, you do need to exercise. Yes, you do need to take care of yourself. However, that's not the first step that you have to do when you are trying to lose weight or when you are finally making the decision to transform your body. In my book, How to Be a Fit Mom, you guys, for those of you who got it already, those of you who haven't got it already, let me tell you something about this book, okay? What I'm sharing with you today, you can find it in this book. You can find how, after so many attempts of failure, how I literally gave up on myself, and how I kept on wondering, like, okay, what's wrong? What am I doing wrong? Like, my friend was on this diet and she lost weight, and the other friend was on another diet and she lost weight. Like, what's wrong with me? Like, what have I done wrong? Why am I so weak? Why can't I, pull my shit together, to say it that way? And in this book, I share with you, like, what was actually holding me back. And it was not training, and it was not nutrition. What it was simply mindset, okay? And not necessarily just mindset, but it was my lack of actually dealing with my emotions, okay? So what I'm trying to tell you is this: you need to have your mind, your spirit, and your body aligned in order for you to get results, okay? Every time you are going on a diet and you keep failing, or every time you're trying to exercise and you're like, fuck, this shit is not for me, is because you haven't changed your mindset. It's because you don't believe that you can actually do it. It's because the path you chose, you are actually freaking hating it, like literally hating it, okay? So there I am today, trying to teach you guys a different approach to weight loss, trying to show you a different path to achieving the desired body and the desired confidence, and perhaps you want a better job, or perhaps you want a better man, or whatever you're trying to achieve in life, it is possible to do it, okay? So today's topic is about how well do you actually digest your emotions, right? It's going to sound crazy, like how can I digest my emotions? Like I digest my food, I don't digest my emotions. I used to think that as well, okay? I'm 100% with you. I used to believe that as well, that, you know, my inner self or my emotions have absolutely nothing to do with the way I look. But then as I progressed in life, and then as I started my transformation journey, I realized something. The way I was feeling was actually making me obese. Okay, my inner pain was actually holding me back. My inner pain was making my mind self-sabotage my transformation journey, and therefore obviously return to overeating. As some of you might know, I grew up with an abusive father, okay? Psychological, physical, emotional, all sort of abuses. And my way to cope with that, because I was a kiddo and I couldn't go anywhere and I was freaking stuck in that. So what I would do is I would eat, okay? Food was my temple, food was my sanctuary, food was my salvation from abuse. I would get abused, I would get beaten, I would open the fridge, I would eat everything I can find in there, suck it in, and just move on with my shitty life. And so food for me wasn't a source of fuel anymore. It wasn't something, you know, you need to eat to stay alive. It wasn't you know, just something that people do because, you know, you eat 3 meals per day and you have 2 snacks, and, you know, you eat because you need to eat. It wasn't that. For me, food was like, okay, I'm getting punched in the face, I'm going to eat chocolate cake. I'm going to get, you know, screamed at or, you know, abused and like psychologically and emotionally, and then being super stressed and being anxious all the time. I would go and grab myself a meal at McDonald's because, you know, I need to literally eat my emotions. Like my anxiety was so crazy that I just couldn't control it anymore. So there I was reverting to food, and that happened for many years. In the meantime, while I was overeating, I actually discovered that, guess what? Alcohol is a good source to actually cope with bad emotions as well. So on top of overeating every single day of my life, now I started over drinking as well. And like my intake of alcohol was just increasing by the day, literally. And I ended up, you know, by the time I was a teenager, I would literally down like bottles of vodka, like drinking from the actual bottle. I wouldn't mix it with anything. And I would drink like 2 bottles of vodka per night by myself. That is just crazy, and it's mental to think that any sort of organism, any sort of body can, especially a young body which is still developing, can actually cope with this intake of alcohol, okay? So I was over drinking and I was overeating, and that's because I couldn't actually manage my emotions. Everything that was happening in my life, it was literally like getting stuck inside of me, like a bad source, a bad source of energy. It felt like, you know, like a ball of energy that is just stuck somewhere inside of me, and it's just pushing me towards self-sabotaging my transformation journey, and it's pushing me towards making the worst decisions. Like when you drink 2 bottles of vodka per night, here we're not talking about the way you look anymore. Here we're not talking about you know, weight loss or weight gain. When you're drinking 2 bottles of vodka per night as a teenager, here we're talking about health issues. Here we're talking about a potential liver failure within a few years or a few months. So we're not talking about the way you look anymore, about the way you feel anymore. Here we're talking literally about you staying alive. So you can see that the extent to which I was literally damaging myself and damaging my body, and every choice I was making, it was bad. And I thought I was doing that because I was fat, and being fat, obese, whatever you want to call it, it was, you know, making me sad, so therefore I would eat more. But actually the problem was inside of me. The problem all along, it was my inability to digest my emotions, okay? Every time I would get abused, I would eat. I wouldn't stay in the moment, you know, digest what happened. Okay, so he told me to, I don't know, like, okay, let me give you a precise story, so, you know, I talk facts. So, for example, I was crazy about Twilight, okay? We all know the movie Twilight. And I was crazy about it. And I actually booked a ticket for the premiere, I think 2-3 months in advance, okay? And then the problem was that the movie was at around 8-9 p.m. So that meant they would finish around 11 to midnight. And that was a big problem for my abuser, because he just simply loved to control my life, and he wouldn't let me go out during school nights, okay, like Monday to Friday, I wasn't allowed to go out at all. I would just go to school and then come back home. And it didn't matter if I was 10 years old, it didn't matter if I was 18 years old, the rule was the same. Monday to Friday, you are not allowed to go anywhere. All you can do is go to school and come back home. Or eventually, if I had to go to the corner store to buy myself, some food or a bottle of water or something, that was alright. But I had to be within like 3 minutes radius. Anyway, so the night came, and I didn't tell him in advance that I'm going to do that, because I was scared that he would scream and he would punch and he would threaten and so forth. So then when the premiere happened, when the night arrived, and my best friend was at my house, we were going for the movie together. Obviously, if you're best friends, you have common interest, isn't it? So then we are getting ready, and then you can see him, like, his face turns like literally black, and he's like, what's happening, and why are you guys like putting clothes on? You should be putting PJs on. And I'm like, well, like our favorite movie is out, and we thought that we could go and just watch it, and then obviously come back home and just get straight to bed. I mean, if you think of it, I was like 17, 18 years old. To go to bed at 11 or midnight is not the end of the freaking world. Come on, seriously now, let's face it. Like, an 18-year-old can go to bed at 12 and wake up at 6 or 7 to go to school. Yeah, so what happened is that obviously he started screaming, and obviously he started punching the doors. He didn't hit me because my friend was there, but he would like hit the table and the walls and, just assess himself as authority, he was saying, but obviously he was the position of the abuser. So when that happened, we did leave the house, we did go for the movie. I couldn't enjoy my movie anymore, as you can imagine, but I did go and just down a few shots before or after the movie, because I just couldn't digest what happened. Like, he humiliated me in front of my friend. He was trying to stop me from, watching my favorite movie when I booked it so many months in advance, and it was a moment I was looking forward to. He didn't care about what was important to me. He didn't care about the stress he was inflicting on my mom, because she had to witness all that, and just everything that night became shit. So I wasn't able to digest it, like, okay, he's the abuser, he's trying to assert himself as an abuser, ignore him, let him be, just go watch your movie and you will cope with whatever comes your way the next day. And I couldn't do that because he was so unpredictable. His abuses were so unpredictable that I didn't know what was coming the next day. So I just had to go watch my movie, get a few drinks in, numb the emotions a little bit, and then wake up the next day and see what's awaiting me. Perhaps you won't talk to me for days, perhaps you won't give me money for days, perhaps you will beat me the next day, like, fuck knows. I never, like, he was so unpredictable, you never know how he was going to react. So that's how you turn a beautiful, amazing evening, or was supposed to be a beautiful, amazing evening, into bullshit. So my inability to actually digest my emotion was pushing me towards alcohol, was pushing me towards drinking, towards food, towards eating, towards drinking, and just a very sedentary kind of lifestyle. So I had all these balls of bad energy inside of me, okay? Like, my brain is as a child, as a teenager, as a young woman, I couldn't understand why he behaves that way. I couldn't understand why he's inflicting all that stress, all that anxiety, all that emotional distress on me. I just couldn't get it. And when you can't understand things, what you do is just you shut it down, you just get it stuck somewhere inside of you, and then you act based on that. Okay, so let's take grief, for example. Okay, grief is one of my favorite, actually, because there are 5 stages of grief, and when you look at grief, you understand like how long it takes for a human being to actually properly digest a negative emotion. Okay, like positive emotions, we just absorb them in, and we are just like become like freaking sunshine, like the light comes out from our eyes and faces and all. I'm talking about the negative emotions, because it's the negative emotions which make you overeat and overdrink and the rest, making, in general, really bad choices for yourself. Right, so let's take the 5 stages of grief, because it's very interesting. The 5 stages of grief are as follows. So you have denial, you have anger, you have bargaining, depression, and then finally acceptance. All this process should take up to 6 months. So psychologists, psychiatrists, whatever you want to call them, they're saying, that or bad emotion should be digested within 6 months, okay? If after 6 months you feel the same level of anger or the same level of stress or the same level of frustration or the same level of sadness, whatever your negative feeling is, if after 6 months you're still there, it means that that emotion got stuck inside of you, okay? It means that you need help, or you need to focus on actually healing. It's not going to be a naturally occurring healing. So you have the 5 stages of grief, okay? Denial, you don't want to believe that this happened, like this can't be real, like you're in that stage of like sort of shock, like you don't want to believe that it's real. Let's think when somebody dies, like you are super upset, okay? Especially if it's like your nana or just somebody, an uncle, an auntie, a cousin, somebody really close to you. So then you are in shock, in denial. You don't want to believe that that happened. You're expecting that person to actually come and visit you on a Saturday night, as they used to do before. But obviously that's not going to happen. So after a while, you just become angry, and you're like, why, why did this happen? Like, you angry, you can't accept, and you're just fighting this thought of this reality. You're fighting your reality, and then you move into bargaining, like, why did it have to be this way? Why did it have to be this person? What has this person done wrong? Why? To eventually get in the first stage of acceptance, which is the depression, okay? When you acknowledge that shit is real, this actually happened. I'm like, you get depressed and or sad because you lost that respective person. And you're finally getting in that first step of acceptance, I call it, where is depression, where you're understanding the reality, you're accepting the death of the person, and you are still in grief, in pain. And then the last one is finally acceptance, which should happen within these 6 months, as I just told you. And then you have the acceptance where, okay, this person died, this is what happened, it's unfortunate, I'm going to miss this person, I'm going to celebrate your life, I'm going to keep your memory alive, whatever, how you wanna celebrate that person. But you are accepting what happened, and you let go of your grief. But many times it happens that you don't let go of your grief. You're holding that within you. Like in my case, my main trauma was the fact that I grew up with an abuser, and that's why I was eating and I was drinking. But it can be any event which triggers that. It can be a divorce. It can be a partner or a husband cheating on you. It can be the death of somebody. It can be losing a job. It can be losing, I don't even want to think of it, losing a child, or having a child with like disabilities or difficulties, any some sort of learning difficulties or mental illnesses, okay? I don't even want to think of that, but it's real, it's happening. And some people, some courageous, great, brilliant people out there, parents, they're actually coping with it, and they're doing a fantastic job. So any of these events, okay, our life is eventful. It's full of stuff that happens all the time, good stuff and bad stuff. And the way we cope with it, the way we digest these emotions is ultimately going to decide if we are going to, to recover, to accept it, and to continue living in peace with ourselves, or if we are just going to literally just like live with that grief, with that pain, with the sadness, with that anxiety, with the depression, and not let go of it. Because when you don't let go of it, you have to do something to numb that emotion, okay? Does it make sense? You need to numb that emotion. Like, if I get punched in the face, I want to be drunk when I get punched in the face. I don't want to get punched in the face when I'm awake. So you go in, if you know that the minute you get home, you're getting fucking punched in the face, you're gonna go drink some shit, then come back and get punched in the face, because it numbs the pain, okay? However, with emotions, unfortunately, you can't just numb it like that. You can't just push it out. It stays there, and it just becomes bigger and bigger, and every day that passes, and every sad event that adds to that trauma, that adds to that sadness, to that grief, it just frustration, to that anger, it just makes it worse. That ball of bad energy just keeps on growing and growing and growing and growing on your inside. And also what happens is, how we all keep memories, like you just have memories of what happened, and the more you focus on these bad energies, the that memory is going to become recurrent, and perhaps you're going to have it, most likely you're going to have it in your sleep throughout the night as a nightmare, and it's just, oh, then you're gonna have deja vus with it, like during the day you just gonna mind your own business, and then suddenly you're gonna have this image of that horrible nightmare, which actually is a memory that you had the other night. And it's just crazy how your body and your mind and your spirit are so interconnected, and you just can't ignore one or mistreat one and expect the other ones to actually function properly. So that brings me to my second point of this video, which is binge eating, okay? You are trying to numb your emotion. I don't know what you have to deal with. I don't know what you've been through, but what I know for sure is that shit happened to you. And if by some fortunate life you haven't been through shit so far, I know that at some point in this life you're going to have to go through shit. Because that's what life is. Life is real, life is happening, and life is just not stopping, okay? And we lose people, and we lose jobs, and we lose things. We shouldn't cry for things, but anyway, yeah. So life is full of unexpected and sad events, and you need to learn how to cope with it. No matter how much you eat, no matter how much you drink, you are not going to find that emotional numbers that you're actually looking for, unfortunately. So what you have to do, you have to actually start working with these balls of bad energy and get them out from your body, okay? Accept whatever happened. Accept that your husband cheated on you. Accept that your child went to university across the world, I don't know, in Australia. Accept the fact that you lost your job. Accept whatever happened to you. You need to accept it. Unless you accept it, and unless you just, yes, it's there, it happened, and you try your best, you're going to get stuck in the past. You're going to get these negative balls of energy, and it's going to be really hard for you to break whatever bad habit you have, smoking, drinking, eating, whatever addiction you have right now. Is going to be freaking impossible for you to break it unless you let go of the memories, of the pain, of the grief, of the depression, of anxiety, of whatever bad feelings you have right now regarding your freaking past. Okay, sorry, I had to take some water in. Okay, so that's actually what I wanted to share with you guys today. I know some of you are going to completely think that I lost it, because obviously no transformation coach, no personal trainer, no nutritionist, nobody related to the fitness industry is going to come out there and tell you that, you have balls of bad freaking energy inside of you, and you gotta get that shit out. If you don't do that, you're going to keep failing, you're going to keep feeling miserable, and every attempt to better your life is going to be a complete failure, because it sounds crazy, I might say, okay? It sounds different. Because when I started my transformation journey, it was all about being slim, and it was all about being skinny, and it was all about getting the perfect body. So I had shallow reasons. I thought at that point, I did it for shallow reasons. Okay, I wanted to lose weight because I was bullied because of my weight my whole life. You can find the whole story in my amazing book, How to Be a Fit Mom. You can find everything there. And then I lost the weight, and I got to my lowest, which was like 120 pounds. And I realized that actually I was still an emotional fucking mess. And I went from overeating to depriving myself of food, okay? I was eating very low calories, and I was just so worried about every bite of food that would enter my mouth, and I was just like my main concern was food and how to take care of myself, and that was it. Like, I was selfish, and I wasn't living in life in death. I wasn't feeling life in death. I was just like worried about the size of my clothing, and looking perfect and being perfect. And it was fucking tiring, and it was a waste of time. It was a waste of freaking time. But then, as I evolved as an individual, I actually discovered that my inner self needs healing, and that's when I started healing myself. And by healing myself, I didn't have to defeat binge eating anymore, because it disappeared. I didn't have to defeat smoking anymore, because the habit went away. I didn't have to stop from being an alcoholic, because I just didn't feel like drinking anymore, because I had no pain left inside of me. So there was no need for me to numb anything. I could finally live a balanced life. So by letting go of my balls of bad energy, I actually managed to remove the imbalances from my body. and live a balanced life. And that's amazing. For those of you who haven't got my book yet, How to Be a Fit Mom, it goes out for free right now. All you have to cover is the shipping fee, which is, I always forget, I think it's $3.95 or $3.90. Anyway, it's around £4, okay? $3.95, let's call it. Now we're going to end this live with a paragraph from my book, just to show you guys how amazing it is and why you need to get this book, so you change your life and you make the right choices for yourself. Okay, so what do you want to change about yourself? Are you seeking to feel better, to look better, to be happier, to be more confident, to finally have control over your life? Whatever you seek to achieve, there are no limits to your capacity to commit. You must be thinking that taking a big-ass decision regarding your life is too much to handle right now. There is a reason why you are reading this book, okay? You have to get the book, guys. It was written for those who want to be greater, those who want to make better choices, those who want to enjoy and live life at its fullest. However, right now, you are scared. You have failed so many times before that you have given up on the life that you deserve. I want to refer here to the fears that you developed over time because of the failed attempts to improve the quality of your life. And if you want to see the list of fears, get the book and go to page 74. That's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for being part of this. Is super freaking amazing every day to be here with you. Have a lovely evening. Have a great week. And I will see you guys soon.